Welcome back to some new PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story, shall we? It's called Night Terror, Day 1 of a 7-day cruise. Everyone is boarding and trying to get their bearings and general orientation of the ship. My wife and I asked for directions to our cabin, so we could drop off the few small bags we carried on with us. As the crew member, who was stationed near the lobby area of the elevators, gave us directions, another guest and his wife overheard as they passed by. And I then heard the gentleman say to his wife, "How stupid do you have to be to not understand that if your cabin number starts with a 7, it means your cabin is on deck 7. I let that one go. We all waited for the next available elevator, and when it arrived, a few people hopped on, including the jerk that mumbled about us being stupid for inquiring about the location of our cabin. As my wife and I gathered our bags to join them, I asked for someone to hold the doors, but was greeted with that same guy purposely reaching for the elevator floor buttons, encouraging the doors to close in our faces. Taking the next elevator, we made it to our cabin and dropped off our bags and got acquainted with our room. I noticed how simple the remote control to the generic flat screen television was. Very basic, and for some reason that struck me as interesting. For such a luxurious ship, we left the room and went up to Lido Deck for a quick lunchtime buffet. It was there that I saw Mr. Jerk without him seeing me. I kept an eye on him, with the purpose of simply being able to avoid him. But then I decided that I would really like to know where their cabin was. I didn't know at the time why. I just concluded that that information would probably be good to have. So I excused myself from my wife and followed them undetected until I discovered the location of their cabin. Thankfully, that did not take too long, because that was their next stop. They were one floor below our floor and nearly in the same position, but on the opposite side of the ship. After that, I was relieved that we would probably not have very many more encounters with them, and quickly rejoined my wife. My wife and I spent a lot of time in casinos, and this trip was going to be no different. So after dinner that night, we freshened up for a long night gambling. That would most likely not end until about 3 or 4 in the morning. While waiting for my wife to get ready, I began examining that remote control again, and I deduced that those overly simple TV remotes were probably the same in every cabin, and as such the remotes would probably work on any TV on the ship if they were brought close enough. I put the remote control in my pocket and we went to the casino. At approximately 3:30 in the morning that night, I tested my theory. I visited the door of that jerk's cabin and pressed the remote control against it and hit the power button. To my delight, the television sprang to life inside their cabin, and I could see the blinding light of it from under their door. The volume buttons worked just as effectively as the power button, and the volume on their TV reached maximum level in a quick second. I listened as startled people jumped from their bed and scrambled to find their own remote to shut down the disturbance. It was my pure bliss for 7 straight nights to jerk them from their slumber, with no one the wiser, because why would they ever suspect it was caused by anything outside their cabin? The next story is called Speakerphone Revenge. Years ago, I worked on a video production shot for a company in northern New Jersey. The day went well. I did my job and nobody said anything to me otherwise. I happened to connect with another camera operator this day and got his business card. I invoiced the company for the work I had done and noticed after 30 days that it was still unpaid. Sent the invoice again via email. Still did not get paid. Reached out to the company over the phone, and they had the balls to tell me they were not paying me for the day's work I had done, because I did not do a very good job. This was obviously news to me, as no one said anything to me the day of the shoot. Also, I did the work, which means I get paid. Reached out to the other camera guy whose card I had gotten, and he told me they tried to pull the same thing with him. He sent a letter on a letterhead from a law firm and forced the issue and got paid. I followed suit and did eventually get paid. Now fast forward a year or two and I get a phone call one day. It's the same guy who was refusing to pay me. He He has me on speakerphone and is asking about the logistics of an upcoming shoot and blah blah blah. I said, let me stop you for a second. Is this X of X company? Yeah. You refused to pay me for a job I did 2 years ago, and now have the audacity to assume I might work for you again? You are wrong. I don't work with unprofessionals like you. And hung up. I hope everyone in the room heard that, and that he felt like the idiot he is. The third story is called Nasty Customer. I'm an overnight cashier at a gas station. Pretty chill most nights. There's a few bad apples, as always, but nothing too bad. Every now and then, I'll get an entitled customer that demands I sell them beer without an ID, which is against state law, so I wouldn't dream of it. Or sell them cigarettes despite being 20. Sorry kids, not happening. One lady though, she really got under my skin. This happened a while back. She comes in around 11:30, so well past time we shut down lottery. We turn off the machine at 10 as per our store regulations. There's a ton of updates the machine undergoes nightly, and it takes 6 to 7 hours. I keep an eye on her and notice she has one of the ball draw style lotto cards in her hand. I call out and explain that our machine is off for the night, so I cannot sell her the tickets. She scoffs loudly and says I'm lying and don't want to do my job. I reiterate that the machine is already undergoing maintenance, so she will have to return at 5 AM when the machine is ready for service. She throws the ticket on the ground and storms to the beer. I'm already annoyed, and in my head, I know I'll make sure my coworker takes care of her next time. I don't want to deal with this drama. She comes back to the counter, beer cans in tow, and slams them onto the counter. I grab Ron to scan and ask for her ID. Lady once again scoffs and asks if it's really necessary. She has wrinkles older than me. I explain that it's store policy and state law to see ID for alcohol purchases. We go back and forth for 5 minutes. It only ends when I tell her she can either give me the ID so I can do my job, or she can leave beerless and lotto-less. She passes me her ID, face bright red, and the lady just starts going off at this point, saying I need to lose my job. My manager, whom she called by name, would be so upset to hear how I'm treating a regular. I write my name, my manager's free time for the next day, and tell her she is free to come in and complain about me doing my job. It will go absolutely great for her. She snatches the paper and starts asking me to sell her cigarettes. I tell her I'm not selling her anything else, as she has repeatedly made me uncomfortable, and I have the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. She leaves, screaming that she's going to come back and kick me. I leave a long text to my managers in the group chat, explaining what happened, along with a description of her. A couple hours later, some of my regulars come in for their nightly coffees. 2 of the local sheriffs. I give them the rundown of what transpired, and one of them promises to swing through a few times for a few nights to make sure she's not causing trouble. She had parked at the front of the store. I had perfect view of her license plates, so I took note and waited. Lady shows up 2 nights later and parks by the dumpster. She's standing on the sidewalk for 2 hours, waiting for me to come outside. About an hour in, I call the tow service our store uses. I say there's a broken down car in our parking lot in prime parking position. As per rules, cops come through as they always do for coffee, and they ask me if she's the customer harassing me. I confirm she is. They go out and talk to her. At this point, the tow truck pulls in. Lady starts walking away from the cops to talk to the driver, confused and mad. I didn't get to hear much of the encounter, but I watched as she got arrested, put in the back of the patrol car, and they waited for the tow truck to finish hauling off her car before leaving. No idea what happened to her. She hadn't come back in, and I didn't get in trouble with management. The last story is called Two-Faced Coworker. I work in an office where one of my coworkers, Kelly, always acted like the perfect employee around our manager. But the second his back was turned, she'd slack off, dump work on others, and be generally unpleasant. She would go out of her way to make things harder for the rest of us. But of course, when our manager was around, she'd suddenly be the epitome of efficiency, perfection, and helpfulness. This two-faced behavior started affecting my work, because she'd pawn off last-minute tasks on me, which made me look bad for not finishing on time. Meanwhile, Kelly would always get praise for being on top of things. It drove me nuts. I tried calling her out a couple of times, but she always had some typical excuse, or pretended like she misunderstood the situation. So I decided that if I couldn't directly call her out, I'd have to do something to make her stumble. Kelly has this thing about making sure she's seen as the most organized person in the office. She lives for it. Her desk is always spotless, and she's got color-coded folders for everything. One day when she was out on a lunch break, I accidentally messed up her precious folder system. I didn't do anything crazy, just swapped a few labels and refiled a couple of documents in the wrong folders. Nothing too obvious at first glance, but enough to throw her off. Cue the next team meeting, where our manager was going over some projects, and Kelly couldn't find the right documents when he asked for them. She was visibly flustered, and I made sure to offer a helpful, "Maybe you misfiled them." She looked like she was going to explode. Our manager looked annoyed at her for the first time, and I could tell it ate her alive. She spent the rest of the week going through her entire filing system, trying to figure out what went wrong, all while I sat back, doing my actual work, without her dumping any more of it on me. Absolutely worth it. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.